Yeah. Boom. There. Done. Beautiful. Perfect. As we experience more technical difficulties. Anyway, welcome to the Long Take. We are on episode 5 today, joined by, just like last time, the Gooch Man and Chris Klemmer, one of the winners. I would say technically
8th place of Barstool Idol.
8th place of Barstool Idol, but like when you're hired, you're a winner of Barstool Idol.
I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, it still technically
That's
counts.
A win. That's a win in my book.
Big time.
Mine as well.
You are, I would say, out of all the hires, at least, like the biggest movie guy, and you are yourself a huge movie guy. What was that thing you did during?
Yeah, I did at a theater near me where I went to the movie theaters every single day for an entire year. But then in the middle of April, I got COVID. So I made it 102 days. But yes. So yeah. But no, I've always loved movies. I did another movie podcast called Quantum Week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've always been a huge movie fan. So I was definitely excited when I got brought on board to work with, you and Jeff and stuff.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, this is like, I think a good. And we have some other stuff. You have some other stuff cooking. I don't know whatever we're not allowed to say or not say now, but you definitely got some stuff cooking movie wise.
I do. Yeah. Oh yeah. We're looking to hopefully get off the ground soon. But yeah.
That's gonna be interesting. So look out for that whenever that does come out. And
we have not met.
We have not.
Yeah, I mean, and Klemmer haven't met before.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm excited. I also work on the dozen, so I can't wait for. We won't say anything about your team yet. Yeah. You know who it is, right?
I kind of. I haven't had official details yet.
Your team, in terms of teams that are being added, is the one I'm probably most excited for. I can't wait for
so excited if it does.
I can't wait.
That is like that.
Tease.
I am dying to do that show. Yeah, I am very excited.
I think your team will be good too.
Just wait though until you get in front of the big bright lights, and then Jeff asks you, "What are the 3 professions that they try to do in Argo?" or some insane minutia question.
You're never going to let that Argo question.
I will never. No one knows that. Jeff loves that movie more than any other movie.
I think he got over his skis a little bit on that one because it was in the main trailer, but. That is a very small part of the movie.
Insanely small part of the movie. That was the hardest round of the dozen we ever played by far. That was a real tough one.
Yeah,
it's always easier with that show, like when you're on your ass at home, like watching. Exactly. It's like, oh, I know all these, but it's different when you're actually doing it.
Which is kind of funny too, because I know Jeff had been like poking around for rule changes, just asking people what they would want, and one person was like, "Oh, you just stop tailor making the questions for it." And at first in my brain, I'm like, I would love that because I watched Jeopardy. And when I'm watching Jeopardy, I'm like kicking their ass because like they're all random categories that I'm like pretty good at. But then, like, it wouldn't be nearly as entertaining if we were doing Jeopardy-style shit in the dozen, which is kind of what makes it more entertaining.
It's a fun show. I said that's one of the things I'm most excited to do here, for sure.
I think you're going to have fun with it. But today, and get a load of fucking Yankee Bob over here.
I might just go play. I have a Reds hat in my backpack. I'm thinking about going to put it on because I don't want to come off as a coastal elite because I'm definitely not. I'm not a Yankees fan. Well, I am now. I've been a Yankees fan my whole life, actually. 27 rings, baby. But yeah, one of my buddies just got traded there, so gotta support the brand now.
Are you a baseball guy?
I am.
Ben Attendee grew up with old Goochman right here.
Oh, all right, yeah. I think he'll help the Yankees a little bit. I think that Yankees team though is they're very good, but they have some problem. I'm a Mets fan, so my Mets kind of getting into business.
It's very weird because growing up, I also grew up like in the South, and we just fucking hated the Yankees. We just hated them growing up. So he liked all the teams really actually growing up, but
he was like the Tro Ballins of
he would wear like different MLB stuff every day. But yeah, I grew up hating the Yankees. Now it's like, love the Yankees, love them, pinstripes, baby.
Well, that's the big question: is when is your buddy gonna earn his pinstripes?
Also, I've been to Yankee and Mets State or what do they call it now? City Field. It's not Shea anymore. And I just love Shea so much more. I think new Yankee Stadium stinks out loud.
City Field is a great field.
I like City Field. City Field best ballpark food, in my opinion, of all the parks really I've been to.
Tenders there. The tenders. Have you had the chicken tenders?
I had the chicken tenders. I love the steak sandwich they have there. It's fantastic.
Frank swears by that steak sandwich.
Oh, so good. So good.
Fuck, I don't think I ever got like legit food there. Although I did do Barstool in the ballpark there once when I was still an intern at Barstool, and it was such a blast. Like, oh my God, so much fun there. But anyway, we do have some movie news stuff that has come out since our last episode of LCB. But first, Klemmer, you saw Nope yesterday, right?
I did. I went to the.
What do you think of it?
I went to the theater at Lincoln Center, like the biggest screen in the Northern Hemisphere, they say. And it was. I liked it. I think it has a lot of Signs in its DNA. I think Signs is a better movie. I think this is Jordan Peele's third best. I think Us and Get Out are better than this.
Sure.
But I still enjoyed it. I'm not gonna give any spoilers. I know a lot of people haven't seen it, but the Gordy storyline I think didn't quite fit in. I enjoyed
Sure.
it, but that could have been its own movie.
Yeah, that was exactly my thoughts when we were talking
I
about
think
it.
that's been the consistent complaint amongst most people who have seen the movie.
It would have been the best part, I said, of a different movie instead of being a side part of this movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and then the characters involved in the Gordy storyline, I didn't feel were fleshed out. I think it could, where I was very interested in them, I didn't feel like we got enough of them.
Sure.
And I said I just kept getting like science flashbacks. I'm like, that's a better film than this. So it's hard for me to say I loved it, but I liked it. It's all right. I give it a solid B.
Yeah. Okay. Well, did you get any Jaws vibes from it? Because I know that was the big thing that people were coming out, myself included.
Got some Spielberg vibes.
For sure.
Some of the big shots. Like I said, I'm not gonna give it away, but some of the big shots with the windmen who look like me, tall and skinny with the arms. Some of those tracking shots were very Spielbergian. So I mean, and it was some of the plot points are very Spielbergian as well. Close Encounters kind of vibes.
Yeah.
But it was a good, definitely worth going to see for sure. And I loved that he shot some of it on the IMAX cameras. But all in all, I don't think it's a great movie.
Sure. All right. I don't think it's like a hot take because I do feel like we posted our score of it. Like me and Jeff liked it a decent amount. And when we posted, it's very split down the middle response, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's a very polarizing movie.
Yeah.
I wish more people, even the people who didn't like it, I don't think it's getting enough respect. Even if you don't like it, I think it deserves respect in that it's an original story.
Sure. Very rare.
And we need to kind of root for those films. Especially we need to root for those films to get budgeted and make money.
I mean, how many #1 movies?
He hit that movie. So Nope had the largest opening weekend since Us in 2018. So it's like Jordan Peele is really the only guy getting the money to make these movies and making the money from them. I think Tenet would have had that opening weekend if it wasn't for the pandemic and would have held that record. But yeah, I mean, you got to be rooting for these original stories, I think.
I agree 100%. I'm not a big franchise guy. I'm not a big Marvel guy. So the idea that someone, like you said, has an original voice that is making these movies is huge. I mean, other than Jordan Peele and Tarantino, what director can open movie #1 by himself in a weekend?
Interesting. I didn't really put this together. First
horror movie to be shot completely on an IMAX camera.
It's not like a traditional horror movie. I would say it's more like suspense.
No, but it has some horror. I mean, you're right. Yeah,
it is I would say technically.
I don't like horror movies, and because of that, I think I enjoyed this. I think I enjoyed Nope a lot more because of that. It's like I wasn't, fucking turning away the whole movie.
This is a great point without spoilers that this poster was very, very cool. All right. And some of the other news stuff that we have today, announced yesterday, there's going to be a Creed spinoff called Drago. Robert Lawton is writing it. He made a spec script for Becoming Rocky, which is like a documentary about the making of Rocky. Drago, played by Florian Mutenow in the last Creed movie, I thought was awesome. He's insanely huge. And like the physicality that they put into those shots. And we talked to, I forget the name of the director of Creed 2. I'm blanking on it, but we talked to him. We interviewed him. He has like a 3-word name, if I remember correctly.
I forget it too now.
But we interviewed him, and I remember he told us about how they did the camera techniques for it. And like when he shot Creed, everything was like very steady, fluid, and everything. And then when he would film Drago, he would like do shaky cam because he wants to like impress upon you how like very sort of harsh his upbringing is. And I do think that going in and getting to see a little bit more of him, a little bit more of Ivan Drago, I think would be pretty cool.
That's Stephen Cable Jr.
Stephen Cable Jr.
Very young director too.
Technically 3 words, but like not really.
No, that counts. I think Junior. Once you add Junior in there, that's a.
But what do you think about the prospect, Clemmer, of
I mean, Rocky Balboa is my favorite film character of all time. I think I just love him so much. I'm bummed out that he's not going to be in the next Creed movie. Is Drago's storyline enough to make him? I don't know. Maybe. I'll certainly go see it. I'm not going to go in there with the highest of expectations necessarily. Sure. But this, some of those storylines with Drago and Ivan Drago in Russia, in Creed 2 were interesting. Maybe there's some more there. So I'll check it out, but it's not going to be like one of my most. I wouldn't be as excited to see it as I would just another Rocky movie. Honestly,
Creed, and the Creed 3 is coming out what in like a year or something.
They pushed it back. Yeah. It was supposed to come out in November. I think they pushed it to March.
Yep, March exactly. Yeah. The one saving grace, and like I see the main criticism I saw yesterday of this title announcement was that it's a spinoff of a spinoff.
Yeah.
The thing about Creed is that it is so different from the Rocky. It's spun off from the Rocky series, and it carries a lot of the same themes, but in terms of like mood and setting and just overall like cinematography, like it is so different from Rocky 2 through 5 and Rocky Balboa. That I think that Creed has almost established its own universe at this point.
It feels weird calling it a Rocky spinoff versus calling it a Creed spinoff, because I do think it's going to be more of a Creed themed movie than Rocky.
The only other thing I worry about is like, do we really want a movie about Russians right now? Like, is there an appetite for that? Like, we're making them the protagonists of the movie. Like,
well, actually, the Russians were kind of the bad guys in Creed 2.
And they were the bad guys in Rocky 4.
That too.
There was redemption for Victor Drago is his name, right?
Yeah,
is the son.
The Russians they kind of iced out Drago because he lost. And so they are the Russian government is the bad guys.
They could lean in more into that. Yeah. I bet they'll find a way to make that work.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it is an interesting point though, for sure.
Rocky 4 is also this is like a bad take, and this shows how like my taste in movies isn't the best. I think Rocky 4 is the best Rocky. I don't know why. I like the training
montage.
Right.
It's got an elite training montage. Something about like USA versus Russia. Like it's so cheesy, but I love it. I think Ivan Drago looks like he's just so cool looking. Like,
did Lundgren send Stallone to the hospital while they were filming that at one point? I think he's like, I want you to punch me. Stallone was like, I want you to punch me for real for this one shot. And he punched him for real in the chest and like stopped his heart or something crazy like that.
A couple of years ago.
I mean,
a couple of years ago, Derek, I think it would have done better, especially if you released it maybe like a year. They'd filmed it concurrently with Creed 2 and then released it like 1 year after Creed 2.
It definitely does feel a little late to what the comment was. I can feel that too.
Would have worked a little better. The next thing we have is that the Blonde trailer came out about Marilyn Monroe. Has Anna de Armas in it, has Adrian Brody, Bobby Cannavale, who's like big in the LCB lore, I would say. Directed by Andrew Dominic, who made Killing Them Softly, which is a movie that's another polarizing one. I love that movie, but like it's not for everyone. And the Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
Which is a beautiful film.
Yeah, amazingly shot.
One of the better looking movies ever made.
Yeah,
I mean, that movie looks great.
Very interesting, because I think as far as Marilyn Monroe goes, like I don't know a ton about her, so like I'm excited to watch from that perspective, because like I know tragic figure, she died of like a drug overdose or something.
Well, there's a lot of suspicion around her death.
She's got one of those deaths.
Yeah,
where it's
she is romantically linked to some extremely high profile people. She was married to Joe DiMaggio for a bit.
She was,
yeah,
as well as Arthur Miller, right?
Yeah, just a fascinating life.
Obviously, the fucking president.
Yeah,
and Bobby Kennedy as well. The link to those two romantically.
And she grew up, I think, like incredibly impoverished in the Dust Bowl. And so, I mean, just a cool story.
I made the joke that I begged Andrew Dominic to let me play my old great grandpa JFK. My last name's Kennedy.
Please. I think just give me a chemistry read with Ana de Armas, please. Just one
chemistry single read. Chemistry read. But I think they have a guy. There's one guy who plays JFK in everything, and I think he's playing JFK in Blonde. I forget his name off the top of my head. He played him in, I think, Jackie or something.
You know who would play like a great JFK, like a young JFK? The Jizz Man. The Jizz Man kind of looks like him. He gave him a different nose. Yeah, he gave him a different nose.
JFK,
like he's got the very Irish, like Irish Catholic look down.
Yeah.
Bruce Greenwood does a great JFK in the movie 13 Days.
Yeah.
I think it came out around 2001. I think it's underrated by Cuban Missile Crisis. Just takes place over a week's period of time. It's a very good movie. Kevin Costner's in it with a very bad New England accent, but Bruce Greenwood's quite good as Kennedy.
Yeah, he's a big JFK guy, Kevin Costner, I guess, in retrospect. Yeah, obviously JFK.
That's right. He's always around the Kennedy. Yes.
Around. But what'd you guys think of the Blonde trailer, starting with you, Clint?
I think it looked gorgeous. No surprise considering Dominic's directing it. Ana de Armas is probably, in my opinion, the best looking human in the world. I mean, complete knockout. So, and there's some shots where she even looks like Monroe. The costuming and the makeup is fantastic. I'll check it out for sure. I am a little bit, Marilyn Monroe has just been, talked about my entire life. I'm a little tired of it. Did a movie called Norma Jean and Marilyn, I think for HBO in the late 90s with Mira Sorvino, Ashley Judd, where Ashley Judd played the Norma Jean role and Mira Sorvino was Marilyn. And it was all right. It was kind of schlocky HBO 90s, which were almost good, but then not quite always.
Right on the border.
Yeah. And I don't know. Like I said, it's, you heard a lot more about her in the 80s and 90s when I was growing up. So I'm a little just kind of tired of it. But if it's a well-made film, I'll check it out. Yeah, I'm not watching.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people complaining about Anna's accent, which is clearly there. Yeah, it's clearly there. Like she hasn't gotten to the point where she can completely do a full English accent or an American English accent. Doesn't bother me. It really didn't bother me at all. I thought she looked the part. I think she's a great actress.
Even though she's Cuban. Shout out Jamie.
Even though
Curtis.
she's Cuban, I thought Chris Evans had the quote about her where it's like she can do a very wide range of just dominating a scene. She can go from action to soft and subtle in a switch, which is a tough thing to do, especially when she's very understated in terms of like, her presence on screen. I don't know how to explain it.
I don't know if you had seen this Jamie Lee Curtis quote before.
Did you see this? Oh, it's one of the.
Oh, the one when she got
and it's Jamie Lee
water
Curtis,
about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
She barely got.
She backed off that pretty quick, though. Didn't she apologize quickly?
I think so, right?
Yeah, I mean,
had to.
Yeah.
Gonna lose that Activia sponsorship.
Does she still have Activia?
That's a good question.
What if Activia saw that?
Activia's lost their fastball. I haven't seen them in a while.
My mom still eats Activia like every single day.
Maybe the algorithm is just better with you now. You don't see as many Activia commercials.
True. Yeah,
I guess figured you out.
That was back with TV ads, and now like with tailored ads on the internet, it's not exactly the same.
I might have a dumb question. I don't know what is the difference between NC-17 and R?
NC-17 is like nudity and sex. No.
No. So NC-17 is the new X. So basically, if you're 12 years old and you go to see a movie with your dad, he can bring you an R. But they will not even let you in the theater, even with your dad, to see an NC-17. Not allowed. I know I think the word is. Yeah. So you have to be 17 or older to get in.
It's the horniest movie rating.
There's gonna be something in here that
penetration.
And it says it's just like it's not violence. It's not bad language. I mean, it's simply just an intense amount of sex, apparently.
Yes. Which is a good thing, again. Because
I don't know Arma, so I mean, I'm not even going to be complaining. I'm guessing maybe it's not her though. Maybe it's like her, her parents or something. Who knows what's happening? I don't know.
That would be crazy.
That will be insane.
It's just random old people fucking.
Because
that'd be disappointing.
Netflix didn't want to even. They almost shelved this.
Great point. If we could Bobby hanging dong, he has.
Listen, I don't want to objectify people in Hollywood, but Bobby C looks like a guy who's got a fucking hammer.
Yeah, he's also I think married to Rose Byrne.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Just an insane group. By the way, he is phenomenal. Have you ever seen Boardwalk Empire?
Yeah, of course.
He is so good.
Never seen Boardwalk. You haven't watched Mr. Robot. He's in Mr. Robot.
I'm halfway through Mr. I just never finished.
See, that's something I've never watched.
See, I think his addition, that character addition in season 2, Bobby C, I think he comes in and he's so fucking terrifying. He is so scary in that.
I'm gonna have to finish up Mr. Robot then. We had the Oppenheimer teaser, which we saw all three of us ahead of Nope. They released it live. Got obviously the most insane cast ever. It's directed by Christopher Nolan. It's got Cillian Murphy, RDJ, Damon, Emily Blunt, Florence Pugh, Rami Malek, Ben Safdie, Josh Hartnett, Dane DeHaan, Jack Quaid, Alden Ehrenreich, more and more and more. Follows Robert Oppenheimer, who was the director of Los Alamos during the Manhattan Project, and his contributions to the atomic bomb. The teaser is obviously like super short. You kind of just see him walking around, putting on his little hat, which kind of someone pointed out looks like the Mask's hat. He's in the full suit
from Drew Carey.
Yeah, like when he pops it on. Which, by the way, today's the Mask's what year reunion? What was it?
94.
Yeah,
great year for movies.
Yeah, great
year I was born.
Yeah, that's the year before me, or year after me rather.
That's depressing. You can't say so.
You're some younger guys.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, not even younger. I mean,
there's people this off is born after 2000.
Oh yeah, I know it's wild.
Yeah. Get ready for that. But yeah, so. They just kind of show that. They show like some cool shots of like what I'm assuming is the atomic explosion and like the tests. Looked really cool, I thought. I think when they first announced this movie and they're like, yeah, he's doing a biography, I was like, Nolan's like, he's like a big experienced guy. But like the more I thought about it, it's like, this is going to be an IMAX thing. They're going to show some of the coolest shit you've ever seen in your entire life. But what did you think of it?
I thought the teaser was kind of lame. Like, it was fine. It was what it was. I'm very excited for the movie. I'm Christopher Nolan. That cast is, like you said, one of the greatest casts ever assembled. Yeah. It's going to be awesome. I just thought the teaser was like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't know if this doesn't really make me want to see the movie any more or less. It was just kind of existed. Maybe there, people who aren't movie geeks like us who, this maybe their first time hearing of it. So I could, if you just go to the theater, see Nope, and you're not on the internet and you're not, taking this stuff in like we are, like people who watch this are, maybe it is exciting, but for me, I was like, all right, I know this movie exists. This is just, I'm not really seeing much, but that's fine. I'm very excited for the movie, though.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, it was just the year out, like, hey, this movie's coming.
Yeah.
I don't think it really showed anything. I
like this.
I was whelmed.
I was whelmed.
Yes,
I agree.
yes,
I agree with D. Brown. I was whelmed as well.
Yeah, the old Dick Grayson, I'm whelmed. Yeah, no, I don't know. I'll have to see more. In terms of the black and white comment, I think who said that? Too much black and white groovy. I am interested to see if that movie's done entirely in black and white. I saw one theory that it's going to be black and white up until the bomb drops.
Oh,
and then it'll flip to color because the trailer kind of showed it that way.
You flip to color and you go wide for that. Like you go into the full ratio.
Oh,
ratio change.
I think that's like a block of the century is once that bomb drops, it's going to go from the standard, whatever it is. I can't remember the number.
Yeah.
But the wide format, and they're going to raise the bars up into the IMAX style. Which is going to be fucking cool as shit to see.
The color question that could be applied to Blonde as well.
Sure,
because some of that trailer was in color and black and white. So I don't know when that switch is going to happen. It seems like her more distressing parts of her life seem to be in color.
Yeah,
and black and white was the more elegant. But who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's like the Norma Jean, Marilyn Monroe.
It could be. I don't care if it's black and white or color. Personally, I don't give a shit.
I don't really care either, but I do see where it would turn the general audience.
Yeah, right. I agree.
But I don't. This is one of those things where I don't think he's ever made a movie, Andrew Dominic, where it's like, man, I need that mass appeal on this movie.
No,
like, I need everyone to watch this. He's just
Netflix
like,
anyway.
Yeah,
they don't give a
What
shit.
was the last big movie to go black and white? Was it Mank?
Mank was black and white. I feel like there's one we're missing.
Me too.
From more recently, there's definitely a black and white movie, or maybe it was just part. Someone will.
I do think Mank actually would have been better if it had color.
Next up, we had the trailer for Del Toro's Pinocchio. Ewan McGregor, Christoph Waltz, Tilda Swinton, Finn Wolfhard, Ron Perlman, we've interviewed before, Tim Blake Nelson, who we've interviewed before, Kate Blanchett, and John Turturro, who we've interviewed before, which is
Macbeth.
That's weird. We have a lot on this.
Macbeth, good call, Shane.
Yeah.
Macbeth just came
Macbeth,
out.
duh. That's
the right.
Yeah.
Sooner I could forget that. The
We were just talking about that with Joe Manganiello too.
Yeah, we have an interview with Joe Mango coming up.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great. He's very funny.
But yeah, it's a retelling of the fairy tale. Comes from a real boy in the 1930s fascist Italy, which is not something I expected for this movie. It's just regular Pinocchio shit. It is what the fourth Pinocchio movie in the last 33 years, right?
Last 2 years.
Last two. So 2019 was the Italian one, which was good. And then there was the Pauly Shore one, which is
Pauly Shore one was at the end of
Pauly Shore made a Pinocchio.
It's like an animated one, rather.
Sounds good.
Oh my gosh,
no,
it's the funniest thing you'll ever hear.
Yeah,
Pauly Shore trying to do the voice of Pinocchio, and it was actually Russian made animated movie.
Yeah.
He did the English dub for it, and Lionsgate was the one who released it in the US, but it was straight to DVD.
Oh.
But the commercial got put out, or the trailer got put out with Pauly Shore's voice, and it's like,
it's so
so funny.
Sorry, I missed that.
And he makes these like little noises. It's actually very funny.
We've actually interviewed Pauly Shore once. I think it's the worst interview we ever did.
Oh, really?
It was so bad.
He spent the last 5 minutes like, if you know anyone who
wants to
his
assistant,
he's trying to fire. He's like, I need a new assistant. So if anybody wants a job, just email me at
PaulyShore@hotmail.com.
Yeah,
like
it was literally like a Hotmail address.
It was an incredible experience, that interview.
What do you think the assistant fucked up?
I can't imagine anything in Pauly Shore's life that requires that much attention to detail. You know what I mean? I feel like he lives that shit pretty simple nowadays. Although he did have a whole thing where he was hanging out with Big Ed from 90 Day Fiance. He had like a whole video series with him, that thick neck dude from 90 Day. Just an insane thing.
His assistant forgot to like DVR like American Idol.
I can see that being it. But yeah, so the trailer looks like very classic Del Toro stuff, where it's just like creepy, but it's kind of like endearing in a weird way. I don't know. It's tough to feel anything about Del Toro stuff because I haven't loved a lot of his recent movies. Like Shape of Water, I respected as a work of art, but like I wasn't.
Nightmare Alley.
Nightmare Alley.
See, I like Nightmare Alley a lot.
You like that? Okay.
I did, yeah. Shape of Water, I'm with you. I kind of respect it, but it wasn't like one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Nightmare Alley I liked a lot. I don't need to see fucking Pinocchio anymore. I honestly, I have zero interest. I watched the trailer. I mean, talk about whelmed. I was underwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I don't care about Pinocchio. I don't care. I was annoyed, honestly, watching it. I was like legitimately angry at one point because like so many talented people are wasting their time with this shit. And like whether it be Del Toro or the great cast you mentioned, it's just like, what are we doing? Like, please do something else. I'm so tired of these fairy tales that get redone. It's just I will not be seeing this movie. I can't imagine unless it gets like major Oscar noms, which maybe it will. I don't know. I
think it'll actually have a good shot at the animation. Just looking at the slate of animated movies that we have this year, Pixar has one. What is it? They're gonna have Turning Red.
I don't think Turning Red will even. Well, I guess for animated, maybe
it could. No, yeah,
it could.
Yeah.
I don't think it. I don't think it
Really
was
Turning Red.
well received enough as normal Pixar.
There are a
movies.
lot of people, like you're saying, wasting the shit on Pinocchio. Like, there's a Zemeckis one coming out with Tom Hanks. There's the what do you call it?
I don't agree with that, Jack. When I think the Tom Hanks one looks terrible.
Yeah, Tom Hanks is just he's done.
And you want to talk about a director that's been on a cold streak? Zemeckis hasn't.
Actor and director.
Yeah, Zemeckis hasn't made a good movie.
No, a long time.
Jesus.
Long
I
time.
mean, truly the same thing with Tom Hanks though. Like he's on a very cold streak.
Yeah.
Did you see him in Elvis?
I have not seen Elvis yet. I don't like Baz Luhrmann movies
Neither do
typically,
I.
so I'm like, so I and so long. I'm gonna have to drag myself to go, and I've been putting it off.
You and me are gonna get along
You
great
guys would
because
get
I'm
along.
a number one Baz Luhrmann hater.
I'm of the opinion Elvis would have possibly been like the best movie of the year if it wasn't for fucking Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks ruined.
I
it.
heard that. That's what I kept hearing, and that kind of bummed me out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I really don't want to see this movie. So I haven't.
It has like
That's the Goochman, by
there's
the way. Steph.
sequences that you'll love. Like in that movie, there are like really cool sequences. Like most musical biopics, they do have like just they get up on stage and sing. Anytime you put a really cool needle drop in a movie, it's hard to beat.
It's something like where if you were sick of Marilyn Monroe stuff, then I'm sure Elvis is right around that same.
Exactly. And it's
So-
all you heard about in the 80s and 90s was Elvis stuff. Elvis is alive. Elvis is this. Elvis is that. And, you hear him a lot in the radio because it wasn't that old yet. It was only 20-year-old music. And I'm all set. I know the story enough to Colonel Tom. Like, I don't really need to see it again. It's all of it just seems boring.
It's a good movie. It just suffers from very Baz Luhrmann-y shit where like Tom Hanks he was doing this weird Dutch accent in it that was terrible.
Yeah, it seemed weird in the trailer.
And like he also just inserts like rap songs into it because that's a Baz Luhrmann
I
thing.
see. I liked it, but it was a Doja Cat song, and
I like Doja Cat too.
I'm a big Doja defender.
No place for her in.
She's never done anything
about
wrong.
Elvis.
Nothing problematic.
No.
Ever.
Very unproblematic Doja Cat. But yeah. So
you don't have a ton. We don't thinking about how people used to think Elvis was alive. They kind of given up on that.
Yeah.
We don't have any celebrities like dead celebrities anymore where people are like,
oh, sure, we do. Tupac.
I think people have moved on from Tupac too. I don't think you get
Michael
a lot
Jackson
of Tupac
sometimes.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson, I guess. We need to find a dead celebrity that we can just start gassing up as still alive without being completely disrespectful.
Yeah.
Just
pick someone who didn't tragically. Pick someone who didn't tragically die.
Yeah. And again, the one of the worst parts about this, and I forget if it was somebody that they knew from Cosmonaut or whatever, but they said that the biggest issue with Elvis is that they deprived us of seeing one of the world's greatest eaters because they just don't show Fat Elvis like almost at all during the movie.
I respect that.
Yeah,
I don't.
You need to see Fat Elvis.
He had a bad fat suit too.
Someone just asked what I thought of Not Okay. We interviewed Zoe Deutsch for this, and I thought it was really funny.
I'm watching it today. I think it looked. I told him last week. I was like, I have a feeling about this movie. I think it's gonna be good.
It is very funny, and Dylan O'Brien crushes it. There's Mia Isaac, I think, plays a character, and it's a brand new actress. She kills it. I think she's gonna end up being like an insanely popular and well respected actress. Pretty funny, and they include Mega 64, who's one of my favorite sketch comedy groups, which I always liked.
Is it Mia Isaac going to be in Bodies too? I think I saw her on the cast.
Gotcha.
Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, no, that movie it just looks fun. I don't know. Zoe Deutsch picks she does a good job of picking her projects.
Yeah.
If you go through like stuff she's done outside of Zombieland 2, which wasn't well received, even though I liked it, she's got a pretty cool little list of movies.
Yeah.
Especially smaller budget stuff.
She's got a good track record, I think. The last thing before we get into our draft. We had a first look at Brendan Fraser, our boy, in The Whale for the Darren Aronofsky A24 movie. It's him, Sadie Sink, who plays Max in Stranger Things. It's about a 600-pound middle-aged man named Charlie who tries to reconnect with his 17-year-old daughter. They grew apart after Charlie abandoned his family for his gay lover who later died. Charlie then went on to binge eat out of pain and guilt. Very interesting. For multiple reasons, but we're the number one Brendan Fraser podcast. So like when he came in, I think I was like ready to cry.
If it wasn't Brendan Fraser, I would like make fun of the script and the plot for being like the most Oscar grabby script ever, especially with Aronofsky attached.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I mean, how can you not be excited for Brendan Fraser like taking a big swing like this?
Yeah. For like a serious drama.
Did make me sad because like picture got posted and people were like, is that what he looks like now? And it's like, no, that's prosthetics.
That's okay. That means it's good prosthetics. So people are asking that. That's a good thing.
People are like, oh damn, Brendan Fraser really let himself go. And I'm like, no, it's not what he looks like. He's still handsome. He's still a king.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the pictures, whatever, but like, I am just a number one. Are you a Brendan Fraser guy?
I'm more of an Aronofsky fan than a Fraser guy. Fraser's
Really?
fine.
Okay.
I mean, he's fine. He's a fine actor. He does. I'm excited. I'd like to see him do some more dramatic stuff. I don't have the same admiration for Brendan Fraser that maybe you do, but I think he's okay. He's fine. Mm-hmm. It's funny we brought up both members of Encino Man.
Yeah, that's true. Pauly Shore, yeah.
In the short time we've done this, I will go see this. I am very excited for this. I like that plot line. I think that plot line's really interesting to me. So I'm all in on this one. It's gonna be good.
Who's the third guy in Encino? Chris Kattan?
No. It's
what am I mixing up?
Is it Sean Astin?
Sean Astin,
yeah.
Sean Astin, yeah, good call. All right.
Now we've done all three.
Yeah, we've done all of them. So
Sean Astin might have came up anyway, but
some people talking about Dylan O'Brien. He has been killing it. I agree with that. Like Maze Runner is just not. I don't give a fuck about Maze Runner.
He was great in Maze Runner. Is the thing. The first Maze Runner really was. It's a good movie. It's kind of a
Love and Monsters phenomenal movie. I thought
he had that massive injury that I think really pushed his career back.
Yeah.
He literally almost fucking died.
Yep.
So he's just now getting back into the swing of things. I feel like. And The Outfit that came out earlier this year. Surprise. Very good movie.
Which was a good movie.
Very good.
Yeah, that's a great, like, I don't know if it's need to be seen in theaters, but that's a great one. If you're like late at night looking for something to watch, want some genre type, noir film, check it out. Like that does. Ryan Lance is fantastic in it.
It was like watching a stage play. I really
it was, that. Yeah, and it's definitely worth watching.
How short do you guys think Brendan or Dylan O'Brien is?
Dylan O'Brien,
I just said short king.
I always go under with actors. You always go a couple inches.
He's not that short.
I think he's like 5'11". He's probably average height, like 5'11" or something. Like, well, that's not average height, I guess, but he's 5'11", I think.
Yeah.
American Assassin underrated, maybe a little bit. It was a more entertaining movie than people gave it credit for. I'd say that. The Weasel, Pauly Shore. I will never look at Pauly Shore the same again for the rest of my life. Even though he had a great cameo in Futurama once. The blonde hair made him more attractive. That's a fact.
Yeah, I was telling someone last week, and I was like, these promo pictures of Dylan O'Brien with blonde hair. It's like, I'm a week away from shaving my head and dyeing my hair blonde, but I know I couldn't look like that.
All right, we've ended our news. Now we can do our draft. We're doing a draft of very specifically movies from 1985 to 1989. We originally suggested, 80 to 85, but you have a blind spot, right?
80, 84. I just 80, 81. I mean, I was. Well, this is all before you guys, but for me, I was like 1-2 years old, so I don't have that same connection. So I'm like,
sure.
Maybe let's do the late. And I think for me, the movies in the late 80s are more entertaining and more enjoyable, and certainly more rewatchable if there's younger people that haven't seen some of these movies than I think the ones in the early 80s are. It's just because the pacing's a little slower. I don't think they're as accessible as the ones in the late 80s. So I thought maybe the audience might like some of them more too.
Fair enough. All right. So what we're going to do first, we already have our draft order settled out. You're the guest, so you're going first.
Okay.
We do a snake draft. I flipped a coin earlier this morning for who goes next. It's going to be me. Then it's going to be Goochman. Then we're going to snake our way back. So it's only movies from 1985 to 1989. You're up first, Clemmer.
All right. I got to take the ultimate. This is such a lock. It's a 1-1. Anyone disagrees is, it's stupid. It's stupid to
talking
argue
about the same movie.
It's Back to the Future. I think it's the most rewatchable movie from that time period. It's also one I saw in the theaters when I was, almost 6 years old. It was an incredible experience. I remember it even though I was so young. I love this movie. I loved it when I was 5. I love it when I'm 42. It's obviously started a franchise. I mean, I don't know. Back to the Future has been talked to for death, but it's such a clear cut number one.
And it's so frustrating, right? Because going from watching that to seeing anything of Zemeckis the last 20 years is just
Speaking of Zemeckis, Jesus.
Yeah, Zemeckis still put out some good movies for a while. Yeah. I really love Castaway. There's another movie that
Forrest Gump, but
Forrest Gump.
Yeah,
I'm cold on Forrest Gump.
Phenomenon.
Yeah, it was. It absolutely was. It was one of the best pictures. A huge movie. But there's even another Zemeckis movie that could be on this list. But no, I think Zemeckis is fantastic. Directing this with Bob Gale, co-writing it, and everyone's seen it. So it's great.
It's funny because we were talking about Zoe Deutch. Zoe Deutch is Leah Thompson's daughter.
That's right.
Which is just random out of nowhere. Okay, Back to the Future off the board. You actually weren't referencing the same movie that I was thinking of.
Really?
That was my number one. If I had number one pick, that's what I would have gone.
So my number one on this list is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade because I think that's the number one. I think it's the best Indiana Jones movie.
I agree.
People will go nuts.
I'm a Raiders guy.
And
I'm with you.
But there's something about Raiders. The combination of him and Sean Connery impeccable.
Okay, I do like Sean Connery. In that.
Sean Connery as older Indy, or Henry Jones, right? Dr. Henry Jones.
Yep.
And then all the Nazis in that really well played. One of them was in the girl Nazi from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade was in that Indian movie Triple R, where she plays like an evil British lady, which is very funny.
Wow.
Did you caught that off the top?
No, I was like, she looks familiar. I don't know who it is. It was her, and she's married to Ray Stevenson, who's in a bunch of stuff.
By the way, Kenjack texted me last night. You texted me last night and you're like, young Alden Ehrenreich in episode 4 of Supernatural. Yeah. I cannot believe you caught that because I looked it up.
The pictures of him are weird.
Yeah, he doesn't look anything like he does now.
It's his voice, honestly. It was really weird.
Kenjack's watching Supernatural. I'm very happy
for the first time.
It's too bad.
Young River Phoenix in Last Crusade as well.
Yeah.
I just think everything about that really it crushes. And just something about killing Nazis will always get my attention. And obviously that's a bit in Raiders as well. But like, I just fucking love that movie. And I love just him sitting there, guy turning into a zombie. He chose poorly. And then like the ending where he just sits there and gives him like the wave before everything falls apart. But I got to go with Indiana Jones. Robbie, you got back to back.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to decide how I want to go here. If I want to pick things that I think you're going to pick or just go off what I really
You got to go about what you want, I think.
I'm going to go Back to the Future Part 2.
Back to the Future Part 2? Okay.
Yeah. Late 80s. That's not 89. So that's
it is 89. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's almost just as good as the first Back to the Future. I don't like Back to the Future 3 that much. I don't think a lot of people do. But going into the future, just everything in that movie just looks so cool. Like think about when you're a kid, especially when you watch that, all the different things that you want just from that. You're like, I want that. I want that. I want that. Think about all the money that's been poured in and just making this shit real that's in the movie. Mm-hmm. It's just a really fun way to. Now movies, when they go to the future, everything is very depressing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And when Back to the Future 2, when Back to the Future 2 went to the future, they made everything like, it's like utopia. They got cool like products. It's just
the hoverboard.
It's just fun. And his dad's or his son's just a complete loser. Yeah. It's a lot of fun stuff in there. And of course, great sports betting movie.
Yes.
It spawned one of the greatest, like, what would you do if you went to the future? You're like, well, I'd get a sports almanac and take it back to the past with me.
Obviously, that's the number one thing. And it's been referenced like a trillion times in other movies too, I feel like. That's a good one. So what's your next one?
I forgot I had back to back.
You do.
I'm going to take this off the board early, and it probably doesn't deserve to go off the board early, but I'm taking it anyway. I'm going Bloodsport.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay.
Bloodsport, I think, is the best bad movie of all time, where it's not a well-made film.
It's not. No, it's true. You're right about that.
But it's something you can watch over and over and over again, and it just doesn't get old. I don't know what it is about it. Just the characters, like all the different fighters. It's so funny and over the top. It's like, Frank Douglas. He's supposed to, the guy who they based it on a book, by the way. It was supposed to be a real story, and it turned out this guy just kind of made everything up. Like,
yep,
exactly. And none of it ever actually happened.
Young Forrest Whitaker in that.
Yeah.
An agent of something.
Chung Lee. God, he just with his massive traps.
Dude, that guy was huge. I forget that actor's name, but he was massive.
Very fun. If you haven't watched Bloodsport and you haven't heard of it, go watch it. It's so fun.
Bolo Young. That's a cool ass name. Bolo is an awesome name.
They should use that name instead of Chung Lee.
I didn't expect you to go for Bloodsport this early. You were right in that you could have definitely gotten that later on.
You could have very easily gotten it much later on.
I don't think you had it on my list.
No, me either. You could have taken that in the 10th round.
But I'm going favorite.
That's good. Good for you.
Yeah, we're picking with the heart. That's totally fine.
I am as well.
All right. So for my pick, then I do have sort of my pick of the litter here. For a lot of my top picks still available. I'll go with one of the greatest sequels ever made in Aliens. Aliens. I mean, for my money's worth, James Cameron is responsible for two of the greatest sequel movies ever made in T2 and Aliens. And Aliens, he's just like, I'm going to take this Ridley Scott horror movie and turn it into action sci-fi, and did it perfectly. Such a great cast in that. Like Bill Paxton, amazing in that. Fucking what's his name? Who's in T2 or the Terminator movies as well? The guy played Kyle Reese. Oh my god.
Oh my god, Bauer.
Some of the
not Bauer. I'm sorry. I know he's exactly.
It's like Bean. I was gonna say
Michael Bean.
Michael Bean. Yeah. But it's not spelled Beans.
B-I-E-H-N. And then Lance Henriksen's very good.
Lance Henriksen. Yeah, that's right
as well. And then Paul Reiser is kind of a sleazeball. He's very good. Aliens is a fantastic film.
It is an insanely good movie. I love it so much. That's actually I have a collection of VHS tapes I bought recently. Aliens is the only one missing right now. It is just so goddamn good.
You want to know something really bad?
What?
I just watched Alien for the first time.
The first one.
Oh, Alien.
2 weeks ago, and so like I have Aliens coming up on my watch list. Still have never watched it in my whole life.
Oh, good. Well, yeah,
You're
check
in
it out
good
for
shape.
sure.
Like I said, not a horror guy, so I'm like trying to like kind of turn through these like just older stuff. And, like,
Alien is much scarier than Aliens, I think.
I like
Not necessarily much, but it is scarier.
it wasn't
It's a horror movie. It's more
Yeah, it is. Oh, it really is.
but yeah, no, I liked it a lot. So I do have Aliens coming up on my watch list.
Oh, good.
All right, Clemmer, you're up. You up back to back.
All right, so I'm gonna go with one of my favorite sports movies of all time, if not my favorite, but right up there is Field of Dreams. I know that's some people hate it. It's too sentimental.
Great dad movie.
I'm a hater.
Yeah, I mean you'll have
like, my dad loves the movie, and I respect it, but I just can never get through it.
Yeah, I bawl my eyes out at the end every time. I've seen it hundreds of times now. I cry every time. It hits me every time. It's kind of that Frank Capra type film where it's it's sentimental, and if I'm a sucker for that, that'll get me every time. Some people are like, that's too sugary for me. But Field of Dreams is my favorite baseball movie. So that's an easy one for me. I'm gonna go with the comedy. My third one, Thanksgiving staple for me. Planes, Trains, Automobiles.
Yep.
Okay. I didn't think you were
I had that on my list.
Steve Martin, John Candy, obviously, but those two are so talented that in the beginning you're kind of, you're frustrated with the John Candy character. He's so annoying. I feel, at least I can feel a bond with the Steve Martin character, but at the end you realize, Martin is just kind of a judgmental asshole, and John Candy is this really sweet, good person. And once again, at the end of it, when you realize how alone he is, I bawl my eyes out, and it's something I watch every Thanksgiving with my family. It never fails to entertain. It is a fantastic movie with two of the greatest comedic performances I've ever seen.
Steve Martin movies hold up incredibly well.
So does his stand-up routine. He's that brilliant.
Yeah. People forget, or people, I guess, maybe just don't know how insanely influential or how huge Steve Martin came in the stand-up scene. Like, he would tour and doing one-man show banjo shit, and people would line up, sell out the place in minutes.
He's one of the most talented people ever in Hollywood.
There's a fantastic book, one of the best biographies I've ever read. It's called Born Standing Up. If you're looking for a good book to read, it's only about his time as a stand-up, his childhood, and then it ends in 1979 when he quit doing stand-up. He said he stopped doing stand-up because he was so popular. He'd play stadiums, and you couldn't tell if people were even laughing at his jokes because you just couldn't hear. There were so many people there. Yeah. And he felt people weren't there for the comedy. They were there just to kind of see a movie star because he's already done the jerk by that point and everything else. But Born Standing Up's a great book. And if you haven't seen Planes, Trains, Automobiles, if you're younger, watch that. It is a must. Yeah. It is fantastic, and it'll hit. It just holds up. Phenomenal ending. I think that them two are one of the greatest odd couples in film history. You know what I mean? There's a lot of duo movies, but their chemistry between those two was unmatchable. So good. John Candy, what a legend he was. Okay. Oh yeah, I heard about this once. I think that there was a rumor around Kevin Hart doing Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Let's hope not. I remember hearing about that. That's
I like that would
be.
I think he gets a little too much shit. Kevin Hart does. But he's not the guy for that movie. And
no one is. We already had the guys for the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
It's already been done.
And it's not a movie that needs to be.
It holds up brilliantly. You can because it's dealing with travel, and we still travel now. Yeah. There's they're on payphones and stuff. But other than that, you could make that movie. It could be done today. Exactly. There's not much to update where it would significantly change or anything with the plot. It's just two different guys stuck in a situation together. It works. I don't care if it's 2022 or 1986. Exactly. Yeah. All right. I'm actually very happy because now I'm back up, and another one of my top picks is still on the board, which I'm very surprised on. Die Hard. You fucking. That was what I was deciding between for Bloodsport versus Die Hard. I think you picked the wrong choice. I think so too. Yeah, that was quite a bizarre pick. No, Die Hard's fantastic. I got a lot more Die Hards to choose from, buddy. Good point. Yeah, you could do Live Free, Die Hard. Not for this one though. I guess not in the late 80s. I think Die Hard 2 didn't come out until 90. The most recent one was Die Hard with a Vengeance. Was that it? Yeah, the last one. Yeah, that was the 2011 one. Which one was the one with Justin Long? I think Die Hard with a Vengeance was actually 195 with Samuel L. Jackson. Which one was the one that just came out in a couple years ago? Yeah, not a couple years ago. It's probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago now. But that's one where he threw himself into the guy. I think. Live Free or Die Hard. That's what it was. Yeah. A Good Day to Die Hard. Sorry, was the most recent one. Okay, Live Free or Die Hard was the one with Justin Long. Yes, I don't think either. Good Day to Die Hard was the one with Jai Courtney. And Timothy Olyphant and I think Maggie Q or something. I forget. But yeah, Die Hard I think is one of the greatest, obviously just movies in general. But in the action, as far as the action genre goes, you're very hard pressed
to find something more iconic than just everything that happens in Die Hard. I think it's Alan Rickman's first role ever.
I think it's widely considered the best first debut performance of all time.
Insane how good he is. Hans Gruber and all the other guys on it, like all the other small players. Like one of the dudes, the long-haired
good enough. Alexander Good, the ballerina. He's in the Money Pit as well, which is another very funny movie.
Yeah, his story is insane.
Yeah,
it's so crazy. Oh, you never heard about this?
No.
He was a Russian ballerina, like in Russia, and when they came to do a performance in the United States, he basically escaped and like became an American citizen that way. Like he had to get out of the USSR. And after that, he became an actor, got into Die Hard. He died relatively young.
Carbon monoxide poisoning, I believe.
Yeah, like something.
I believe he was just in his house and the carbon monoxide went off and he never woke up. I believe that's how he died. But he's also very good in The Money Pit.
Yes, exactly.
Which is a fantastic comedy with Tom Hanks.
He was great in that. I remember a clip. Did you ever watch The Movies That Made Us on Netflix?
No.
Oh, you would love it. You would love it. It's a series on Netflix where they dive into the production of like all these very famous movies.
Yeah.
And they interview cast members, they interview like crew, directors, all that stuff. They did one on Die Hard, and they talked to Reginald Vell Johnson for it, and like he was like, yeah, I was ready to call it quits on like Hollywood. Like I was done and everything, and then this movie came around. I got the role. It blew up, and he's like, and I was so happy because he was so happy because it was basically his mother was like on her like deathbed kind of, and like she got to see him in a big movie right before she passed, and it was like such an emotional ending to that. And they talk all about like how they built these sets and everything, and like how they did the helicopter scene with like a real prop model and everything. It's a crazy good movie. And obviously there's always the great trivia tidbit how they dropped Alan Rickman on 2, right? He's like, we're gonna drop you on 3, ready 1, 2, and dropped him. And that's why his face was
he was so shocked. You see,
insanely
fantastic.
shocked.
Yeah, I saw this in the theaters as well when I was 8, and it's just incredible. I saw it in Times Square in New York, and it was it was just an event. I had never seen, because there wasn't an action movie like that before. Yeah, like it was so, and then everyone ripped it off, and it was like instead of it being a guy trapped in a building, it was a guy trapped in a boat, trapped in a and it became everyone ripped off Die Hard, but no one did it better. Yeah,
there's a porn bot in our comment section right
now. I saw. They're going nuts.
That's the best. Do you actually think that's the best adult dating site?
The Naked Sex XYZ. I feel like it can't be. Something about that name just doesn't strike.
Seems friendly though with the emojis though.
Naked.
I don't know what that means, but that seems less friendly.
Yeah,
Naked dash sex.
Okay, we'll come back to that. I'll come back to that in the replay. So they were talking about the movies that made us. They did episodes on Halloween.
Oh, cool. All right.
Home Alone. They did Elf. They do all.
What's it called again? One more time.
The movies that made us.
The movies that made us. All right, I'll check it out for sure.
It is an awesome watch.
It's awesome. I love shit like that.
The Halloween one and the Jason one are specifically Halloween. Like I think did you mention that one? Yeah.
This guy was saying had the tiny budget.
Yeah, it's crazy watching that specifically, like because they have the producer of the movie he was like a fucking not a PA. But he was just like a very low level production guy, and he just like, I'm just gonna make a production company, and he funds John Carpenter making that, and like the process of
holy shit,
insane.
Wow.
But yeah, okay. So you have back to back again, Robbie.
All right. So have Back to the Future 2, Bloodsport. So these are kind of cheesy picks, and I think that's pretty in tune and theme with the 80s. A lot of the movies that came out then. I want to go a little bit more serious here. I'm gonna go Broadcast News.
Great movie.
I love Broadcast News. Great movie if you've never seen it. I think it did it win a Golden Globe for best comedy, which really not that funny of a movie. I think it's Holly Hunter.
Funny cast, I guess.
Holly Hunter
is nominated for best picture.
Yeah, it was nominated for best picture. That's what I was thinking. Holly Hunter is fucking awesome in this movie.
Really good.
What is it? William Hurt.
Yep.
Rest in peace. Recently passed away. So fucking good in this movie. And it's about the three of them. I mean, just kind of navigating their way through media in their own sort of way, and like, it's a really good commentary on like how the news is presented, and like, and not aside from that, it's just a really well acted, well written, tight script. Like it's a really fucking good movie. I love it. I wish it got more recognition, more play.
Did Defending Your Life come out in the time period we're doing right now? Or is that 90s?
Defending Your Life?
That's a great movie with Al Brooks.
Yeah, it's with Meryl Streep, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that came out, I want to say, it was either 89 or 90, 91, somewhere in that. It might have...
I may have to reevaluate. But yeah, that's a fantastic
It's a very well-made movie. I don't love it, but I can't argue with its quality, and I can't argue with all the points that Gooch made about it, and he's absolutely right. It's a very interesting movie. If you haven't seen it, you should totally check it out. but it just doesn't quite hit for me. I don't know why. I should like it. I mean, I like Albert Brooks a lot. I like the cast a lot, and everyone's really good in it. But for some reason, it just doesn't hit
Doesn't
for me.
resonate the right way.
Yeah, but it's a very good choice. It's a very, very good choice.
All right, next one, Gooch.
Let's go. And so we're going five rounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're gonna have.
I'm
one
just
more
thinking about
after
how much run I have left.
Yeah.
Looking at my list. Ooh. I want to take this. It's such a normie pick, but it's so good. Going Christmas Vacation. It's one of those movies that has a fan base that's somewhat ruined the movie because it gets overquoted for sure. But it is undeniably hilarious. I mean, it's such a fucking funny movie. It's just like it's easily the best of the vacation films. Not even close.
Original one's pretty good.
No, I think it's 10 times better.
Christmas is a very good one.
I'll respect it, but Christmas Vacation has like it's one of those movies where you laugh out loud, like hard,
and holds
like,
up well too.
Like
it does,
10, 15 times, like on the floor laughing out loud. So yeah, that's my pick.
Chevy Chase's last great movie.
It might be. It might be.
That's true.
Oh,
one of Hollywood's great assholes.
That was the end. That was the end of it for him. But it is a great
Christ, has he really not done? Come on. We gotta wait. Chevy Chase. Though.
Oh, the filmography's rough after Christmas.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, he was on Community.
Yeah,
but that's TV,
not a movie.
Let me.
Yeah, it's rough. It's not good.
So it came out in what 88?
88 or 89, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, until the Community movie. Community is a great show, and he was good in it.
I agree with both those things.
Yeah,
he was also in Chuck. I forgot about that.
I mean,
it's a good point.
Chevy Chase was wildly talented.
Yes.
Like he was brilliant. I mean, Fletch is fantastic. It's so funny.
So good.
He was in Snow Day.
Ghost,
how can we forget about Snow Day?
Snow Day, great movie. Is that Emmanuel Shikri, who we've interviewed before, right? Or is that a different Snow Day?
Yeah, she was in. Yeah, she was like a high schooler or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm going Christmas Vacation after broadcast news.
All right, for my next one, I have 3 relatively serious movies. I have a pick that I have on this board that I know I need to get it, and it's not particularly funny, but I think it's one of the greatest 80s movies ever made. It's like perfectly encapsulates the 80s, and there's actually a sequel for it coming out in a few days' time. It's Predator. Predator, I think, is one of the great all-time sci-fi action movies ever made. One of the coolest cast of characters you'll ever see. Fucking Arnold Carl Weathers, Jesse the Body Ventura. Like, it is insane how great that cast. Bill Duke, like all these guys, crazy good cast, awesome action.
Isn't Shane Black?
Yeah, Shane Black
directs
him later. Yeah. Like there's so many great moments in that movie.
The most macho cast ever assembled.
Insanely macho cast. And like I think one of the coolest things about it is like a lot of the movies from around that period, like they would do like military simulation, like gun shit. But like the way that they portrayed guns in that was like, I was like, holy shit, this is so different than anything else you'll watch. Like they're sitting there with the minigun mowing down the forest. Arnold sitting there with like the fucking M16 with the grenade launcher. Like it is so goddamn good. I think the actual concept of the Predator is crazy as well. That was also supposed to be Jean-Claude Van Damme, I think, playing the Predator originally.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they switched it later on.
Yeah.
Or not in post, but like they changed
during the filming, I believe they changed it. Yeah.
And they brought in some guy who was like 7'2" or whatever. It is, yes, greatest handshake of all time.
Oh, yes.
It's the all-time best handshake ever.
I love it when people don't realize that that's not like something like some artist drew up.
Yeah,
like that's like part of the movie.
That is Arnold and Carl Weathers both at the peak of their fitness. Maybe not for Arnold, for Mr. Olympia wise, but like that is him, I think, at his most movie peak fitness. Yeah. And he is just so goddamn good in it. Throughout so many quotable lines in it. If it bleeds, we can kill it. I forget the guy who played the Native American dude in it, but when he like does the cut and like you see that's another great thing in it. The thermal vision is so cool.
The thermal vision was so
I
mean, that was something that people were spoofing 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that got spoofed until like the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Like, people still talked about that.
Great sound design too. Like the noises of the Predator, like the little and like I think the whole ending sequence.
Have you watched Prey?
Yes.
What do you think? So I've heard that's the best in the franchise since like
it is 90s. Easily and by far the best Predator movie since the original Predator.
Oh wow.
Without a doubt, not even a question. It is extremely it captures like a lot of the Predator movies that came out after, they didn't understand what made Predator great. This movie Prey definitely does, and it's cool because like it's obviously in a different period. It takes place in like the late 1700s, and like the way they go about trying to get them Predator is really, really
How
interesting.
was the girl?
Girl was really good.
Was she? Because she was not a strong actor in Legion.
She's I would say like it's not a movie where you need to have a lot of speaking acting chops.
That's good. I'm happy for her.
And yes, the invisibility in Predator, great.
And also just the idea of seeing the POV from the Predator's point of view, it made it more terrifying. It made it scarier because you're looking at it from it treats these macho guys as victims because you're seeing it from the Predator's point of view, which is a really great director's choice there.
Yeah.
Who directed this? Was it
That's actually a great point.
It's a huge name. I want to say it's the same guy directed Die Hard, but I could be wrong.
Is John McTiernan.
McTiernan directed Die Hard. So he directed two of these movies we're talking about here. McTiernan, one of the great action directors of all time, went crazy and ended up in jail at one point at the end of his. I believe he's still alive. He
did Last Action Hero before that. Hunt for Red October.
Yep.
Thomas Crown Affair out of nowhere, just like still. Man, and
Die Hard and Predator. I mean, that's a pretty good run.
The 3 lasers too, I always thought was cool. And I think the scene where Carl Weathers they shoot his arm off, and it's still shooting the gun as it falls to the ground, and like the screams, man, everything in that movie. I could rewatch that movie a trillion times and never get tired.
I think I'll rewatch. I actually think I'll watch that again because I probably haven't seen it in 15 years, and I'll watch that before I do Prey.
Also, great poster. Do you remember the poster where it's just like it's Arnold Schwarzenegger sitting there and it's like the big crosshairs right on him?
Yep. Yeah, I do know exactly what you're talking about. Yep. That's a good poster.
El Dintre asks, what movie series do you think has too many sequels? Too many sequels?
Like any horror movie.
It's Halloween. I think it's easily Halloween.
I don't know easily. I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street and Predator. I mean, you go through.
Yeah. So like, let's say if we were gonna have anyone that had too many. Predator not Predator. Halloween for sure. Jason has a lot.
Friday the 13th.
Like Friday the 13th, so many, man. Like,
but Nightmare on Elm Street, I feel were better movies. So the fact that Nightmare on Elm Street, one I think is a fantastic film. So then it just got so diluted. And 3 is very good. Dream Warriors is very good.
Yeah.
But by the 6th, 7th, you're like, what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah, exactly. Like Halloween's on they're 18.
I know Halloween's on a ton of them.
I think Iron Man had too many sequels.
Iron Man had too many. Yeah, they could have stopped that too. I think
they should have stopped the MCU there.
You could convince me of that. Actually, I'm not. I mean, not that I hate them, but it's just what they've done in the industry. So I mean, I could argue that point.
Transformers had too many. You could say theoretically Avatar has too many because they have like 15 planned or whatever for James Cameron.
I think the Avatar movies are going to end up being good as the issue.
That's my thing too.
And I had first good Avatar movie. As bad as a lot of the Transformers sequels were. I had a lot of fun with like Dark of the Moon. Like they were still fun even though they were dumb. It wasn't until like the Last Night and the one before that.
Last Night was terrible.
Where it's like it wasn't even fun at that point.
Bumblebee was okay though.
I thought Bumblebee was fun. Yeah. And a lot of that's Haley Steinfeld's just
really John Cena shouldn't have been in that movie though. All right, Clemmer, you got back to round out your team.
All right, I guess we're gonna. I got a lot left on my board here, but you guys picked some ones I didn't expect. But my next pick's gonna be. I'm gonna go with De Palma here. You got Kevin Costner, you got Robert De Niro. It's The Untouchables. I mean, I think visually the best shot film of the decade. I think Sean Connery obviously wins the Oscar for his role here. Just super quotable, super rewatchable because it's a period piece that holds up really well. And because De Palma is so innovative with his shots, I think you can watch it. I think 50 years from now you could watch it and still feel like you're watching it like you were in the late 80s. Untouchable, I think, is a steal here at 4. And I think I have another steal here for my 5th pick. Is the only Best Picture winner I'm guessing we're gonna have here, unless someone here loves Driving Miss Daisy. But I'm gonna go with Rain Man. Dustin Hoffman obviously wins the Oscar. Tom Cruise, I think, probably should have won the Oscar. I think Cruise is actually better than Hoffman is in this movie. Pretty traditional stuff, road movie with 2 mismatched characters. But the bond they have because they're brothers and the way Cruise reacts to Hoffman's performance, I think sets it apart. Barry Levinson, of course, directed this. He also directed Diner earlier in the decade. Would later go on to direct one of my favorite underrated movies, Sleepers, which I think is a fantastic movie. But Rain Man, I think, is a fantastic, very, very, very good movie. So I'm really happy I got Untouchables at Rain Man. I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
I could watch it 1 trillion times over. It is such a goddamn good movie. The what's his name? Billy Drago, who plays like the really scummy dude in the white suit. He's so scary. Bad guy.
He's so scary.
Yeah, him. There's such good cast in that. I think that De Niro was the best Al Capone actor until I think his name is Billy Graham, played him in Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah,
who was incredible. And then obviously Tom Hardy played him. It wasn't that.
And Costner's really good in Untouchables.
Yes.
I think he's fantastic there.
One of his best performances.
Got young Andy Garcia.
Yeah.
It's just like I said, it's just a really entertaining, interesting, and then visually like shocking movie to watch.
The great score in that too.
Incredible. It's
Marconi, right?
It is Marconi. Absolutely right. Yeah, it's the theme song is fantastic.
There's a scene that I always love from this, which is the one where they introduce Andy Garcia to the two of them, to Kevin Costner and oh my god,
Sean
Connery, and like he's like, yeah, my name is Stone, and it's like, you're not Stone, you're a Dago, and like he like puts the gun in him and everything. He's like, I like him, and it's a really goddamn good movie. Oh fuck.
There's a great album I used to study too, and it was Yo-Yo Ma plays Ennio Morricone's De Palma Suites.
Nice.
And it's like it was
That's
just
great.
all the De
That
Palma
is a
Suites
strong
that he
album.
worked with, and
that'd be great.
A really good one.
Another one I'll have to check out.
De Palma has such an interesting filmography. He's done like a little of everything.
He's
good at everything.
And some of it doesn't work. Like was it Snake Eyes with Nicolas Cage? That doesn't work.
But then you get like a Mission Impossible out of it.
You do, which is a very good movie.
Yeah.
And then obviously Carrie earlier on. With Blowout with Travolta is very good in the late 70s. Right. De Palma's career is, that new Hollywood. You had Scorsese, you had Coppola, you had Spielberg, and De Palma was always like the kind of the I don't know, I don't say redheaded stepchild of that group, but he was always kind of like the forgotten one. But it's not fair to be lumped in with those greats.
Scarface.
Even
though I don't love Scarface.
I don't either.
It's
an interesting
iconic movie.
Yeah.
Like he had a really interesting career, and I feel like he gets kind of forgotten about because he's in the shadows of those other guys.
Mm-hmm.
Even Cimino with Deer Hunter got more acclaim in the late 70s than De Palma did. De Palma was always forgotten about.
They're the guy who played, oh my god, what's his name? From Deer Hunter. He was in Deer Hunter. He was played Fredo.
John Cazale.
One of the greatest insane runs of cinema.
Oh, he's in 6 movies. They all got nominated for Best Picture.
Oh, I think they were combined like 40 something Oscar nominations.
Yeah, it's a Godfather 1, Godfather 2, Dog Day Afternoon, The Conversation. Deer Hunter, and I forget the 6th one.
This is all while he was dating Meryl Streep, and like died
of cancer during right around the Deer Hunter when it came out. He looks sickly in Deer Hunter. You can see. Brilliant actor. His performance in Dog Day Afternoon is especially. If you haven't seen that one, it holds up. It's great. It's Pacino. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Okay, for my last pick, there's so many on the board here that I think are probably better movies than the one I'm going to pick. But I do want to round up my team with some comedy, and I'll do Spaceballs. I think Spaceballs
was on my list.
Is an amazingly hysterical movie to me. Something about Mel Brooks. Like I could list every Mel Brooks movie on this list as well. But I think specifically Spaceballs, because I got introduced to it as a kid watching Star Wars. Mm-hmm. It's just like something where like you're sitting there doing the Leo pointing like a trillion times over. And the way that Mel Brooks approached it, I thought was hysterical. So many great moments in it. It's like, go comb the desert. And you have the biggest comb.
It's the biggest comb. Shit. Yeah.
It is fucking
the canned air.
The canned air.
The guy making the sound effects.
Yes.
What was it? It was like the
guy from Police Academy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
And also another 2-time LCB alum, Bill Paxton.
The big dome.
Bill Paxton.
Bill Pullman.
Pullman.
Yep.
Him sitting there with like the Schwartz rings, like their dicks or whatever.
Rick Moranis is funny in that movie as well.
Amazing. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Just a hysterical movie, and I did want some comedy on there, so I'll round it out with that.
Mel Brooks was.
He still is. He's still kicking and he's still making shit. It's crazy.
Yeah, well into his 90s now.
And he was like old when he was doing like History of the World.
Blazing Saddles is my number one comedy.
Yeah.
I think it.
My number one Mel Brooks is Blazing Saddles as well.
Yeah.
All right, you round us out, Robbie.
All right, so I'm picking with my heart again on the final pick. It's actually a movie that I don't know have you guys seen it, because it's in movierankings.com.
Okay.
Movierankings.net. I should know this. I type it out almost every day. But no scores yet. It's Heathers.
Heathers, yeah, that's a great movie.
Interesting one.
With Christian Slater and Winona Ryder. Yeah. It's a fun little horror comedy, like dark humor, but it's just great, and it's very stylized, and it's a lot of fun. I watched it about a month ago again for the first time in 10 years, and was reminded how much I really love that movie, because I was on a little bit of a Christian Slater kick for some reason.
You're watching Mr. Robot.
Yeah, I watched that and Pump It Up. Which is also
Pump Up the Volume.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
Which is a really cool movie too. So yeah, Heathers, if you've never seen it, go watch. It's on Amazon Prime right now.
All right.
Just experienced, I think it's like 30th anniversary or like
even more than that now.
Yeah, 35th or something like that. Yeah, it's a fun movie, really cool, and the death scenes they're very funny. I don't know.
So I think they made a remake of it kind of recently, no?
They did. And I think it was right around the same time it was a school shooting. Yeah. And they tried to downplay it and released it very quietly. Yeah, it didn't quite. I gotta say, guys, we left a lot on the table.
We'll get to that. I want to get our
because there's a ton we left off.
But the teams as of right now, Clemmer, you have Back to the Future, Field of Dreams, Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, Untouchables, and Rain Man. I have Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Aliens, Die Hard, Predator, and Spaceballs. Robbie, you have Back to the Future Part 2, Bloodsport, Broadcast News, Christmas Vacation, and Heathers. There is a shit ton left on the board.
Oh, there's a lot. Like on the rest of my list, I also have like Raising Arizona. Like I love Raising Arizona.
I have like Akira and Raising and Mr.
Akira was on
My Neighbor Totoro. Like
I actually didn't put my name. I'm not a
Princess Bride.
Yeah,
like, Princess Bride
Rocky 4. I brought it up earlier. I love Rocky 4.
Do the Right Thing.
Very cheesy, but I love it.
Platoon.
Dead Poets Society.
Beetlejuice, Stand By Me,
yeah.
Hoosiers, Batman, Ferris Bueller, Rocky 4, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Goonies, Wall Street. I mean, those are all movies we left off the board.
My middle name is from Stand By Me because my parents love that movie so much.
Oh, really?
They love the main guy's Gordon.
Gordon, we'll play by Will Wheaton.
Yes, exactly. So Will Wheaton, that was a great child cast too. That also
incredible. River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, and Jerry O'Connell.
Even Sutherland, like
Kiefer Sutherland's in that, and Richard Dreyfuss is the narrator. But that's a very good movie. John Cusack's in that as well.
Yeah, that's right. Big in here. Glory I had on my list as well. Naked Gun and Spaceballs were like, which one of these am I going to
see? I would have gone with Naked Gun.
Yeah, that's I totally would get that because Leslie Nielsen was just a monster of comedy. So the police story movies, which are incredible, but they're too niche, I guess. Breakfast Club, which I'm kind of surprised didn't make any of our lists.
The Hughes movies. I guess I would have gone with Ferris Bueller if I had to pick a Hughes movie of that time period.
Lethal Weapon.
Yes.
Goonies is surprising.
Right. Yeah. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that never got taken.
RoboCop. They Live. Oh, They Live is so good. I gotta rewatch that soon.
I was thinking about putting They Live. The fucking bubblegum. You're all right. You're ugly. What does he say? Ugly as shit or something like that to the old lady.
I feel bad we didn't. So I wrote a blog today. I think it's up now about. I'm doing my top 100 movies in the 90s. 98 Any Given Sunday, which is directed, of course, by Oliver Stone. And we didn't say Wall Street. We didn't say Platoon. And I think in the 80s, we mentioned Scarface, which he co-wrote. Oliver Stone was the biggest force in movie making between like early 80s to like the mid 90s. Mm-hmm. Like Oliver Stone was the biggest name in directing. He was the most influential director. JFK, like we mentioned, Natural Born Killers. And we don't have any Oliver Stone movies on any of our lists, and I feel like that's a bit of a disservice.
We were talking about Scarface. I guess we talked adjacent to him a lot. Like Platoon, I was just talking about before. We interviewed him a while back.
You interviewed Oliver Stone? How did that go?
Interesting interview.
He loved us, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Awesome. Oh, great, yeah.
It was for his book that he released, and we just talked to him about
Who Framed Roger Rabbit, yeah.
I know. Well, that was the Zemeckis one. I had that on my list. Oh, no, it was 16th. It was a last cut.
We talked to him about his book. In his book, he was talking about like his process of writing Scarface, and like he basically went to Miami and like embedded himself with drug lords and like witnessed really fucked up stuff and like almost died a bunch of times. But yeah, it was a really fascinating interview, and again, apparently really liked us, which was interesting.
I mean, he won a best screenplay in '79 for Midnight Express, and then he wins 2 best directing Oscars. For help me out here. What did he win for? Platoon.
He won for Platoon,
and then he won on 4th of July.
Yeah. Another great movie.
I know. So you look at like Oliver Stone. I mean, how many guys win Oscars for writing and directing?
Yeah.
Much less winning 2 for direction, and then also doing movies like JFK. And you look at his it's a monster library that he has. And I would say between this time of 85 to 89, Oliver Stone was the most powerful director in Hollywood.
Yeah, he was, and just I would even say because we were like you're saying with the writers and everything, just powerful voices. I guess.
Yeah.
It's crazy how good he was.
I mean, he had Spielberg during that time too, but Oliver Stone, as far as like for critical power,
blockbuster versus critical,
right? Oliver Stone was the guy.
All right, so I think we had some good ass teams. We'll definitely have to have you back and do one of these again soon. Maybe we'll skip 90s because you're doing it for the blog.
Yeah,
maybe we'll do like one of the 2000s ones.
Love to.
2000 or 2005 would
90s are almost we were talking about before we started. It's like the early 90s is such a hot.
Actually, I like the late 90s even more.
Yeah, you do. I would agree. Yeah, I think
maybe it's just.
I mean, but no, the early 90s are stacked. I mean, like. It's incredible because 94 you have the independent revolution with Tarantino, and then all movie making kind of changes. But even the early 90s the studios making great, like Jurassic Park's fucking good fucking movie.
First like true CGI movies to like really implement it, and it was incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot.
I mean, even 90 you have Goodfellas.
If we do that, we'd probably have to go 10 rounds because I would feel too bad about leaving some of those titles off. So like that was
maybe when we have Clemmer back, we'll do 2000 to 2005.
I hope that like 20 years from now, there's like 25-year-olds like sitting around talking about movies, and they're not just talking about like Marvel stuff is the only thing I worry
Oh
about.
God,
You know what I mean?
Like,
because it's fun to
biggest
look
fear.
back on the 80s and like
Oppenheimer,
look at all these like just titles and you're like, oh God, that was fun.
Insane,
That was
unique
fun. I hope
blockbusters.
I hope now these times get looked back on
So,
fondly.
I think it was 98 that Saving Private Ryan came out,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
I remember I was reading once in that year. There's Something About Mary was like the third highest grossing movie of the year. That will never happen again.
The Mask was like
Never again.
The Mask was I think it was top 5 for the year.
Well, think about Jim Carrey's 94.
And it was I think the highest
Exactly.
it was the highest grossing rated R film until
Mask wasn't rated R.
Was it?
No, it was
There
PG.
were some raunchy stuff.
Or
but
am I
don't
thinking
think
about There's Something About Mary?
Something About Mary's
Something
rated
About
R.
Mary, for
Was
sure.
the highest grossing rated R
Yeah.
film until Deadpool.
That makes for some reason that doesn't make sense because it is again insanely the numbers on it are nuts.
But Jim Carrey's 94. You had Ace Ventura: Pet Detective,
Great movie.
The Mask,
Great movie.
and then he ended the year with Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
All in the same year. It's one of the greatest years by any. You could maybe
For
Spielberg.
comedy.
Yeah.
Spielberg had Schindler's List and Jurassic Park in the same year.
Really, his whole '90s run, like even up until like the Cable Guy, like it's
incredible.
Insane.
Yeah.
How good his '90s were. But yeah, that's the end of the long take. We will have Clemmer again back for I think we'll do 2000 2005. But thank you to all of you to watching. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube, Twitch, or wherever you're viewing from, and make sure you follow along Clemmer. Clemmer, what's your Twitter at?
It's at Chris Clemmer, so CHRIS.
I was way off on that stat. I
KLEMMER.
don't know where I got that rated R stat. I was way off.
I'm sorry, I'm married though. I think you just had the movies conflated.
But anyway, yeah, make sure you follow Chris. He has a lot of really good movie stuff, I think, and you're fitting in good with this group. As far as
That was a blast. That was really fun. That was awesome.
that was fun. But until next time, we'll see you guys later.